Good morning. This is this week's Delaware State Chamber of Commerce Legislative Minute. Of course, this week to some people is St. Patrick's Day week. To other people, it's the beginning of the basketball March Madness. But for others, it's when the legislature goes back into session. That will be tomorrow, Tuesday. They'll be in session for 3 weeks before they take their Easter break. They meet Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which means they have 9 legislative days and they have a lot to do. The governor would like to see his tax package get worked on in the next 3 weeks. We'll see if that's possible because of all the other issues. But what he's proposing is that we remove the sunsets on the tax increases that went into effect in 2009 in response to the $800 million deficit the state faced. But on the other end, what he wants to do is cut gross receipts, cut down the PIT by 0.25%, leave corporate franchise where it is, and also leave the estate tax where it is. In addition to the gross receipts, there was a small cut 2 years ago, and he wants to give a little extra help to manufacturing, so we're going to be looking very closely at that legislation. Also, there's a minimum wage bill in the Senate. I'm sure they'll be hearing this week, which would raise the minimum wage to $8.75. It would also increase the minimum wage each year by the Consumer Price Index. We're going to oppose that bill for a number of reasons. One is there are already additional costs being added to small businesses, to all businesses, but most effectively small businesses with the Affordable Care Act. Also with some of the unemployment taxes, which are going to have to increase because we've had to borrow from the federal fund. And as many of you know, there are other costs that are going up for businesses and some utility costs and others. In addition, we're also going to be dealing with some budget issues. There's revenue looks like it'll be a shortfall of about $50 million for the next fiscal year, which begins on July 1st, and up to $150 to $200 million in the fiscal year after that. We'll find out Monday when DFAC meets. We'll really get a better idea of what the picture is. Also, we're continuing to look at workers' compensation, try and get those costs down. The committees are meeting. We've already identified some areas, and we expect that there'll be some legislation later in the session, probably May or June. In addition, the workers' compensation workers' compensation medical advisory panel, which you'll remember, that's what I sit on, we'll be making some changes in the rules. All this is going to be complicated because there's some other large issues the legislature is going to have to work with, including gun control, universal health care, the possibility, I don't think that has many legs, but it's going to be out there. They'll be looking at the death penalty, changing the death penalty, eliminating it, and also we're going to have a bill, same-sex marriage. And there'll be other things which will show up as time goes on. One other business bill that we'll be looking at is further restrictions on the use of plastic bags. We have some ideas looking at that may work, but we don't want to burden, especially small businesses who use plastic bags. We're going to look at some type of maybe a compromise there, or maybe not doing it at all, but we're going to have to find out. Anyway, that's it for this week. We'll have a lot more to report next week once the legislature actually has a week to look at what they may be working on. So until next week, this is Rich Heffron of Delaware State Chamber of Commerce.